We have four gentlemen here tonight to talk about this remarkable music and the people and places that mark its journey into our cultural conversation. First, a founding member of one of the defining early groups in rocksteady and reggae, please welcome Lloyd "Bread" McDonald. Thank you for being here. Any seat you like. Next, a drummer known for his work with Jimmy Cliff, Black Uhuru, and most notably, Bob Marley and the Wailers. Please welcome Carlton Santa Davis. And next, a man who worked at the legendary Studio One, and this is notable, the first Rastafari to host a radio program in Jamaica. Please welcome Ras Michael. And finally, last certainly not least, an artist who is continuing to move reggae forward. First as a founding member of the band The Melody Makers, and across his own solo career, please welcome Ziggy Marley.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you each for being here. This is an honor for the Grammy Museum to have all of you gathered here on this stage. And I want to take people through a little bit of a history lesson and a little bit of a sense of the backstory of reggae, and it starts with ska. And it starts with your memories of ska music. Bread, tell me about the origins of ska. Tell me about your memories of ska.
Well, my memories of ska begin, I would think, about 1963. You know, I was going to Greenwich Town Primary School at the time. Mm-hmm. And ska was the Jamaican music. You know, I used to hear, first of all, Derek Morgan had a big #1 song at the time. I think it was called Hey You Fat Man. And I used to love that song. You know, yeah. It was a ska song, you know, and they had Wilfred Edwards, which was another pioneering ska musician, singer. And of course, you had the Scatterlights, you know, but they were mainly instrumentalists. And they had a number of hits for Studio One at the time. All great individual instrumentalists in their own right. And they came together and formed this great super band called the Scatterlights. And they were the recording band at Coxsone, Sir Coxsone Downbeat. You know, they would back all of Coxsone's artists at the time.
Right. And he was, Coxsone was an incredibly influential figure as a producer in ska, later rocksteady and reggae. Santa, talk to me a little bit about your memories of his role in his music.
Repeat that again.
Yeah. Well, so just talking about Coxsone Dodd and your memories of him.
Well, I mean, my memory of the whole thing, I mean, I was a kid when, you know, I was in the early 60s. I mean, I didn't really know much about that whole development because it was just a music that we grew up listening to. But, you know, I heard the name, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, the Scatterlights and, you know, and all that connection with the, you know, of course, the Wailers and, you know what I mean, Ken Booth and all these different people. So as a kid growing up, there was a lot of sound system in Jamaica. So that was my exposure and that was my connection with music, because I used to live in Greenwich Town also. And every weekend, you couldn't help but hear music. I would just scare. There was a lot of places that they call dance halls, where people used to go and dance for the weekend, whatever. So from Friday to Sunday, there would just be music. And at that time, ska was rampant, you know what I mean? So, but I heard about Coxsone.
Yeah.
And he had a sound system, actually. You know what I mean? That's how a lot of these producers back in the day used to get their music exposed. Like Duke Reed, they had sound systems. And they used to, go around Kingston and set up and play. And that was the main exposure for the music at the time.
I think that's something that's not necessarily well understood, is that Coxsone and Duke Reed and others had these sound systems.
Yes.
It wasn't necessarily about bands going out and playing live. These guys would go play records.
Yeah,
they would play the bands that they had signed or recorded for the people.
Yeah, because back in those days, it was difficult for the music to be played on the radio. So that was, they used to play a lot of foreign songs, as we would call it.
Yeah.
So a lot of those music were kind of like rude boy kind of thing or whatever. So they never get the radio exposure. So the sound system was a vehicle. And every weekend there was a dance. And where I used to live, there was 3 dance halls. I lived in the middle of them. So you know that
So you
work.
heard a lot of music.
You know how that work. Every try to get some sleep.
Not happening.
But it was fun. It was real fun, and that was my first introduction to music, because you hear it every day,
Right.
And and from Friday right back to Sunday morning, it was just music.
When did you start playing?
Well, I started playing. Well, my first introduction to music itself was at 11 years old. I joined the drum corps, St. Peter Cleaver Drum Corps to be exact, and started playing the military style thing, and then did that for a couple of years, and then I actually started what they call a secular music career in '69. That was my first time, sitting around a drum set and getting my groove on.
Well, I'm going to come back to that, but I want to talk to Ras about, so you are, as I said in the open, the first Rastafari to have a radio program in Jamaica, the Lion in Judah, and Santa was talking about, at the time, not a lot of the music was being heard on the radio. So tell me about starting your radio program.
Yes, it was really, I call it, blood, sweat, and tears to get it going. Because, as you know, being the first, you have to have the drive to push it. And also, what you really come with it was something kind of new to the people, because, number one, they used to hear something different. In those days, you used to have in Jamaica, them have a thing named Reggae Fusion. Reggae Fusion is like a governmental thing where you get rent from the government. Yes, but when a man have all a radio them days there, in Jamaica is like him, a well rich man. Yeah, it's that. So it's like the music itself really did base upon messages, and the spiritual order, especially Rasta. Because the Rasta music, the vibration of it was really strong, but we come with a message. And like how, Ziggy father that come with a message.
Yeah.
So I did come with a message where a Lion of Judah time, where every Tuesday morning or weekends, people could tune in and hear where the Rasta is about, both with the Bible and the fullness of it and what it really stands for. So that was really the order, like we play, yes, and sing songs, but we also give history, about the music and where the Rasta come from.
Was there, when you started, was there resistance? What was the reaction?
Yeah, man. Resistance, yes, because number one, them people, them never think about Rasta much as you come from radio. Long hair, long dread, man. Oh, well, we never talk about not head and this and that. So, it's like, it take a time. But when the program started to really be understood, people start tuning on it. And so, boy, me have to listen to the Rastaman program. Because it was, as I tell you, and as you said before, it was resistance. Because we used to call Rasta people black heart people. You go kill people. Like you was a different type of man. But it's true, the Africa tradition. Right now, I say everybody have dreadlock. Yeah, man, me a dread and thing. But the first part of it was really, as we say, blood, sweat, and tears. A lot of brothers lose them life and go to prison and all that for the cause.
What did your dad tell you about his radio program?
Never tell me anything. No. What year that was, Ras? What year that was?
66.
Yeah, I was born in 68, so. I'm a young blood.
Yeah.
Yes, them time the Ziggy no act yet, just in the meditation.
But I'm guessing that your dad spent some time listening
Yeah,
to
my
his
mother,
radio show.
you see, my mother and my father, now this is what my mother tell me, right? Obviously, my father passed when I never get a chance to get his stories, but my mom told me a lot of stories about what was happening in those days and how they used to listen to a lot of music from New Orleans. Because you talk about the radio fusion thing, it was a lot of those picking up stations that was, coming from New Orleans, and they would get they would get influenced by those songs. Because I think before even the ska and the rocksteady, a lot of the artists from Jamaica were trying to emulate what they were hearing. And I think a lot of, the names come up like Fats Domino. Like my mother would say, yeah, we used to listen to Fats Domino and these guys. And so reggae music, true ska and rocksteady also have some influence from the American, black music,
Definitely.
Yeah, and around the time that you were born, rocksteady was starting to sort of replace ska, and there were people like the Heptones who were kind of changing the sound a little bit and starting to move towards what we now know as reggae bread. Talk a little bit about what the Heptones and people around that time meant to the sound.
Well, the Heptones, I got the pleasure of getting to know the members of the Heptones when I went to Studio One in late 1968. Because I think we did our first song at Studio One in about 1968. Right? And at the time, Leroy Sibley's, the lead singer, he was also the bass player, So he was like one of the top act for Studio One at the time. Cause, Mr. Dodd Coxon, as Santa was saying, he's a sound man. And, his sound, he used that before radio or anything else to promote his artists, like Delroy Wilson, the Heptones, Ken Booth. and so on, you know. So Leroy was the time when I get there, they were the top act. So they used to get a lot of exposure. And in addition, Leroy used to be in the band. At the time, the Scatterlights had gone on to different things, and you had the Soul Vendors, another set of musicians, great musicians also. Most of those guys went to Alpha. Alpha is a breeding ground for great instrumentalists, even up until this day. That's where Don Drummond, you know, Roland and the Fans, so Tommy McCook, all of those guys went to Alpha, who made up the Scatterlights. Mm-hmm. So at the time when I got there, it was the Soul Vendors who was the backing band for all of Studio One acts. And Leroy Sibbles was the bass player, very, very good bass player. And a lot of the songs that you hear playing nowadays, he actually created those bass lines, you know. Even his Eptone songs, you know, he created those bass lines. As a matter of fact, the first 3 songs that we did at Studio One was Back Out With Its Days Are Numbered, Mr. Fire Coleman, and Row Fisherman Row. He played bass on those songs. You know, Arsmouth was the drummer. Leroy Wallace, we call him Arsmouth, was the drummer. That time it was definitely rocksteady coming from ska. Ska was kind of like going on its way out.
Talk about the difference between, from your perspective, between rocksteady and ska. What made rocksteady different?
Well, rocksteady was a bit slower, you know, and the singer had more time to phrase his words. You know, the ska was kind of more up tempo. Mm-hmm. And as Ziggy was mentioning, the ska borrowed a lot from the American R&B at that time.
You know, I'm wondering how much you may have heard at the time. You know, you're talking about Studio One and Coxsone and you know, the house band and how they created so much of this sound. You know, I'm reminded of Motown and Stax.
Well, as a matter of fact, as you say that, Cox was referred to as the Jamaican Motown. Because he always have a roster of artists who was have to be very good because his standard was very high. You know, so when you go to Coxsone and if you audition and you're accepted, you know that right there, you know that you're good. You're good to go because there's guys who go there and they said, man, you got to go do some work, come back next year or even the year after. You know, so when you go there and you're accepted, you know that you got some talent.
Yeah. You've made it to a certain degree.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when I went to Coxsone, the roster included, as I said, the Eptones, Dennis Brown, you know, Ken Booth was there too, getting ready to leave, Alton Ellis. You know what I mean? So it was just Horace Andy.
Yeah.
You know, it was just a lot of top guys, you know, like Errol Dunkley. You know what I mean? So it was just some rough singers, you know, some top singers, so you have to come good, you know what I mean?
Santa, were you listening to some of this as you were growing up and hearing a lot of this?
Definitely, because we used to listen to a lot. I used to listen to a lot of Bob Marley and the Wailers, because, you know, we come from the same neighborhood, and they used to live on 2nd Street, we live on 1st Street, and those days you didn't have a wall, you had like, the fence was like bushes. So when they were rehearsing over 2nd Street, we on 1st Street, we could, you know, hear them loud and clear, hear the sweet harmonies and, you know, say, well, man, we have to sing like this one of them there. You know what I mean? that in itself was a great inspiration for us. You know, just hearing Joe Higgs taking them through their paces, you know. At the time it was Bob, Peter, Bunny, and Junior Brathwaite. And there were 2 girls also, Beverly and Cherry. You know, and it was so sweet, man. That, you know, it was great. growing up in those times.
Yeah, yeah. I'm wondering. You're talking about neighborhood. Your neighborhood.
Yeah, yeah.
And where
Trench
these,
town, right.
I'm wondering. Did it sort of happen neighborhood by neighborhood? Each neighborhood kind of had, a band or a sound or someone who was playing, maybe a little bit differently, or was advancing
the
the music.
neighborhood, for me, the neighborhoods that were doing it at the time was where Santa is from, which is Greenwich Town, and there was the neighboring town, Denham Town, where you had the Techniques, Slim Smith and those guys, Slim Smith and those guys from Denham Town.
Well, Trenchtown was music center.
Trench Town was the main place, cause
Trenchtown.
yeah, cause you have Alton Ellis, you have the Wailers, you have Toots and the Maytals.
Sure. Well, let me
mean,
stop you with Toots and the Maytals, because a lot of people kind of put the line in the sand that Rocksteady moved to reggae with Toots and the Maytals. You guys, Ross, you agree with that, idea that the transition happened with Toots and the Maytals?
Well, yeah, what I really say about that is that each and every group contribute to the evolvement of the music in general. Toots and the Maytals also. Like for instance, I hear mention Soul Vendors. At Carlton, they also had me and some of my drummers
Right.
as Soul Vendors. We played, I don't know if any of you guys knew of a song known Darker Shade of Black. You ever hear that?
Yeah, man.
Drum song,
Yeah.
evening time, with Jackie Me too.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's a great contribution.
So everybody has their role.
Role that
I think it's mostly the musicians who really, instead of the singers setting the trend, the musicians are the one who usually go into the studio and they create the tracks, and then the singer come and sing to the track. So when I think that's where the Rocksteady came in. Some musician went in and slowed down the thing a bit, and then when Toots and whosoever came, like Alton Ellis and those brothers,
Right, Shirley.
you know what I mean? They have to just sing with the track.
Yeah.
You know?
Santa, tell me a little bit about Bobby Aitken. And he was a big session musician in the Rocksteady era. What did you learn from him?
Well, Bobby Aitken, actually, I could say kind of started me or pointed me in the right direction. Because when I was at St. Peter Cleaver Drum Corps, he used to come and give guitar lessons. And I was what they call a quartermaster. I used to take care of all the equipments. So we had this room, and I used to take the big bass drum. They had like a little pedal. I put the pedal on the drums, and I would try to practice trying to play like a trap set, because we had like a small little snare drum and whatever. So I was in there just trying to play. So I was doing like boom, gang, boom, bang. But at the time, it was Rocksteady. Rocksteady, one jab, chick, ka, chick, chick. So I was in there playing boom, bang, boom, bang. And he was in the next room giving guitar lesson, and he heard it. And he came in and he said, no, man. You must drop the snare and the bass drum together. And a light go off in my head at the time. That was the first, that a guitar player. He was the person who told me, look, because he was a Rocksteady. He was one of the main.
How to play the beat.
Yeah, he was one of the main. He had a band called Bobby Aikens and the Carry Beats. And they were like key studio musicians back in the day. And they used to play a lot of live music too. And he came in that room and changed my life. Bobby Aiken did it. He said, look, drop the kick drum and the snare together and play 8 notes up here. You know what I mean? And I never forget that, you know what I mean? So, and since then, the rest was history. You know what I mean? Because I'm kind of like self-taught. I didn't go to a school or, I didn't get no tutoring. But I could say he was the first teacher. You know what I mean? Because he actually gave me the idea of playing rock steady.
But then at a very young age, you went on to play in the Graduates.
Yes.
And
Actually,
and tell me who else was in that band, by the way.
okay, well, the Graduates, yeah. All right. So after drum corps, I was 16 years old.
Uh-huh.
After drum corps, I immediately went to this group. And this guy, he played alto saxophone. He kind of reminded me of a kind of Coltrane kind of person. 'Cause they used to play a lot of jazz. You remember Kofi, right? Yeah, his name was Kofi.
Kofi from British Farm. Yeah.
His name was Kofi Kali. I guess he gave himself that name, whatever. Kofi Kali and the Graduates.
Yeah, Kofi.
So when I joined the band, Richard Daly, who is the bass player for Third World, he was a guitar player. So it was me and Richard. Young Richard with his big ass glasses and stuff, and you know what I mean? With two young kids,
Yeah.
And what's his name? Earl Walker? Bagger.
Yeah. Lindo. Earl
Bagger
Lindo.
Bagger Walker.
Walker.
I think his name was Earl Walker, whatever, but he was the bass player.
Yeah.
So we started rehearsing, and we used to do a couple of gigs. I was still learning at the time. I was still green, trying to get my chops together.
Mm-hmm.
But it was me, Richard Daly, and Bagger, and then that's when I started meeting all these people who I heard about, like Ken Booth. They would come through. You know what I mean? Delroy Wilson, Halton Ellis, Joe Higgs, all these people. Just imagine yourself here in America where you're running into all these superstars. Like, whoa, you know what I mean? I'm in the same room with it. You know what I mean? So it was something like that.
Yeah.
But so I played in that group for about a year. It wasn't a great year because I played, but I didn't get paid.
That sounds like a very typical music industry story.
And then, that was the thing. Yes, you just a pay Jews right now. Let's go and pay Jews. All right, cool. But I was still living at home with mom, 16 years old. So I didn't have any responsibility.
Right,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
But it was a learning curve. It was a good experience. I don't regret it. I don't regret going through that because of that, it made me more determined. Yeah. And I just start digging in and realize, hey, what? I got to make more effort.
Tell me about the flying cymbal sound. Can you describe that for us?
Well, I've been asked that question a lot, and I even got some flack for some bad information that went out one time. I didn't create that thing. It was there all along. It was a cymbal pattern that was used years and years. And how I come to play that pattern was just one song. Mm-hmm. You remember this guy from remember Sound of Philadelphia? The drummer Earl Young?
Yeah.
Earl Young, he actually was the guy who get that 4 on the floor thing, back in the day, you know what I mean? And I heard this, and there was this song that was going to be recorded, None Shall Escape the Judgment, actually at Jew Creed Studio. And I just decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to try this thing at this song. Because it was played in a lot of songs before that. There was a song in Jamaica called Moonlight Lover. It was in that song from in the 60s. And I think Sly Dunbar had played it on a song before that, I think Double Barrel or something, right? But this was mid-70s, so I said, you know what? I just feel like this song need that pattern. And I ended up playing it, just for one song. For the next couple of years, I was just playing flying cymbals, which I hated, but it was cool. But then, people say, well, I didn't create it. I just played something that was there already. You know, and I did an interview with Mother and Drummer. Not want to call out anybody, but I did this interview, and the guy who wrote it, he put like, well, Santa is the first drummer who played, whoever played, and people start asking, like, thinking that I said that. And that's why I kind of like, I'm scared of like doing interviews over the phone, because you say something to somebody and then they embellish it, you know.
Sure.
And you know, and I got in trouble because Sly saw me one day and said, well, I see an interview with you, and what you say? We said, no, boss.
Yeah.
I had to defend myself, you know, but it's one of them things, you know what I mean? You know, I didn't create it. Because you know what? Check this out. As musicians, any musician will tell that. We all take a little piece of something from somewhere. You know
And it
what I mean?
doesn't matter if it's in Jamaica or America or wherever.
Right, because coming back to what Zig and Brett said about the influence of foreign music. With Coxon, with Sir Coxon.
Yeah.
He was a wise man.
Yeah.
He used to come to America,
Right.
and he would buy a lot of foreign records, and he would take it to Jamaica, and he would pick the groups that sound or could fit in that mold.
Yeah.
Like I Shall Be Released. I didn't know I Shall Be Released was a Bob Dylan song until the time we did that tour. Remember?
Yeah.
No, for real.
Yeah.
A lot of song, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of song that, you know, Alton Ellis, you know, did some songs, but what Cox would do, he would bring these piles of LPs to Jamaica, and then he would play these songs, and he said, yeah, this sounds like a Heptones thing, you know. I mean, I wasn't there, but I'm just imagining
you're right,
that's what he
Santa.
did.
You're right.
And
Exactly
you know, and
right.
people and a lot of Jamaicans think was original song. You know what I mean? But them wasn't original. But it worked for a while. You know what I mean? And
Sure.
I just say, you know, reggae music is influenced by a lot of different things. But we take whatever we learn or whatever we gathered from around the world and make it our own.
And it comes
we
through
come
you.
up with reggae, which is one of the toughest thing right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, it's just part of how the world is. You know, we all steal a little piece
From each other.
in a positive way, not stealing to be. But we all take a little piece. It's like a stew, you know. You have to put a little. You say, well, I can try some of that foreign thing. Like that.
Well, and speaking of a stew, I want to talk about Duke Reed. Because this is a guy who was, you know, if you're thinking of a stew, this is a guy who was stirring the pot. I mean, there's no question about it.
Yeah, well, my experience at Duke Reed was really, you know, exciting. We used to every Sunday we'd go to his studio every Sunday, and he would bring artists from all over the island, and we were kind of like a studio band. He had a lot of different, but you know, it was me and my band Soul Syndicate, me and Fully Fullwood, and we used to go down every Sunday, and he would bring artists and we'd record them. And he was very strange, but the funny thing about Duke Reed and even Cox and these people, they couldn't play an instrument to save them life. But they know sound, they know what a song. They know when a song is a hit song, or a song is a good song, or a song is no good song. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And Duke Reed, yeah, he was a cowboy. He had guns.
I've read this about him.
Okay, so he'd have a gun on both sides and a shotgun in his hand. Now, if that's not intimidating enough. Well, but anyway, it didn't scare me. I mean, you grew up in Jamaica, you see all them things there all the time. You know what I mean? we come from the ghetto, so we know we see gun every day, so we nobody worry about that. But to see a businessman stand up in the studio with him shotgun and him 38 something on him side, like, whoa, you know. But anyway,
I even read that he would shoot a gun
no,
off.
I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that.
All right. All right, the host will shut up now.
So Duke Reed as I say, him no sound. Couldn't play an instrument, couldn't sing, couldn't even dance. But sound. He could tell when it was good and when it was bad. And say, for instance, we're playing a song and not feeling it. And him, because he would have like 3 or 4 or maybe a dozen artists for the day. And we try to get through as much of them as possible. But if it's not working, he would have turned the shotgun up in the ceiling, boom! Not my day today. Session over, right? Yeah. So you would come in the studio, you see like shotgun holes in the ceiling.
That's the story of reggae, right there.
But the thing is this, okay. So I'd be in the drum room, right? I'm in the drum room. It was a small room, and this guy, he had his 10 fingers, had rings on them, some big ass rings. Big rings. And I'm sitting in the drum room. Now, he wants me to give him something exciting. But he would come, no rhythm at all. Jummy, I want you to give me a little. And this guy was hitting my knees with this. And I was like, okay, how am I going to interpret that? But as studio musicians, as a studio musician, you have to be quick, right? Because what we do, we interpret whatever it is. So you have to be quick. The people have no time to write things down and rehearse and all that because there wasn't the budget. It's not like in America where people can spend a whole year on a song. It don't work like that in Jamaica.
None of that. None of that.
No. We talk about doing 12, 15, 20, 24 songs in 4 or 5 hours.
Whoa.
Yeah. So he would hit my knees. Drummy, I want you to give me a little thing like. And I mean, no rhythm, nothing. I'm like. But then I would say, okay, maybe he wants a happy rhythm. So I would start playing like, and start jerking the hi-hat a little bit and doing something. Yeah. And then he would say, yes, man, hear it there, hear it there. Damn. I'm like, but the weirdest thing, he knows what he's hearing. His rhythm is his rhythm. But then for me to interpret, I just figure, okay, he wants something happy, something kind of moving. And I said, okay, all right, I better do it because I don't want him to shoot this gun. You know what I mean? So, but it was fun. After a while, we get used to him. He liked us, So he never really do the gun thing anymore. Because he trusted us in that manner where he know that, yeah, he know we're capable of delivering.
And one of the things he did was he expanded the length of the songs. I mean, but before, a lot of the songs were quite brief. They were 2 minutes,
2 minutes,
2.5 minutes, whatever they were.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, Duke comes along, and maybe from haranguing the studio musicians in that way. The songs were 4 minutes long. They were 5 minutes long. They were more involving, if you will.
Okay, what would happen if we are in the studio playing, because it happened a lot of time with even him. If the rhythm isn't, because we know that, okay, the song's supposed to be 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes, because time was moving up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we say, okay, but we'll be getting ready to stop the song, and he would be in the control room, keep it going, you know what I mean? Like, what? And then we keep going. So that was kind of like, because a lot of these things, people don't realize, a lot of the music in Jamaica was hit and miss, A lot of things was mistakes, and a lot of things was errors being made, but then after a while it became something. You know what I mean? So it wasn't anything that was planned. People think, damn, you guys really did. So no, everything was spontaneous right there. Yeah. There was no time to sit down and figure it out. You have to just play. You know what I mean? You come to the studio, people don't have no time to... This guy has only 4 hours, and he wants to do 20 songs, 30 songs.
Yeah.
And he only have 4 hours, he don't have no more money.
And the other thing I found fascinating about him is he was present.
Yeah.
He was in the
Yes.
studio.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of folks who were kind of involved at that time who might have been producers or ran record labels or whatever, they were somewhere else, but he was in the studio with you guys.
Yeah, because you know what? Check this out. Just like I said, he had a sound system, right? He had a sound system so they know what music sound like. So even if he couldn't play an instrument, that wasn't an impediment to him or his ability to know what is good music, because he had a sound system. And when they have new records, they would do like test press and all that kind of stuff, and they would play them in the dance and see how people react.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's how they know what type of song the people want and you know, and how good whatever song is going to get across. So they were really, really, you know what I mean, verse as far as the development and, you know what I mean, the vibe and them thing, you know what I mean? 'Cause it was all about feel. 'Cause that is what reggae music is all about. It's not no whole heap of arrangement and them thing. It's just simple little thing. Simple thing. That's why the one drop is so effective. 'Cause it's really a simple but effective beat. You know, you don't have to do too much things with it. You can just hold a one drop with a 8 note. And it's like a journey. It's really, you know, the whole thing is a journey. And people like Coxsone and Duke Reed and such like, they sense that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know.
68, the Wailing Souls get started. Brett, talk to us a little bit about the Wailing Souls and the difference that they made.
Well, we came from a group called the Renegades, right? Myself, Winston Matthews, and a gentleman called George A., who became, all three of us became the Wailing Souls eventually. But we started at Federal Records in about 64, 65, while we were still at school. And first of all, there was this guy called Ainsley Folder. He was an accountant down by Federal. So Ernie Ranglin, you know, the great guitarist, was doing an album and they needed some background vocals. So he used to hear us singing all the while in the kitchen, 'cause, you know, that's where we rehearsed, in the kitchen, government yard. Hear Bob sing about. And he knew so we couldn't do the job. So he came, he told them, say, I got some guys up here who can do the job, you know. I said, okay, bring them come. Because, you know, Trench don't have a name singing. So he told them that. They said, okay, bring them come. So we went and listened to songs and, you know, we did the background vocals and Ernest Ranglin loved it. And then there was this English lady named Pam Bly who was living in Jamaica at the time, and she had a song. I think it was called Somewhere My Love. It was from a big movie at the time, and she wanted to cover that song. And we did the background vocals for her, and that song went #1. So Federal said, okay, we need you guys to come and record some singles for us. And, you know, we did about 3 or 4 singles for them. And then, cut a long story short, we weren't pleased, as Santos said, there was no money running, but, you know, we were school guys, so that wasn't a problem with us, you know.
Yeah.
We still live with the parents and things like that,
Yeah.
so, you know, that wasn't a problem. We just need money to go to the movies and, you know, stuff like that, buy 2 cake and, you know, bun and cheese and things, and we're good.
Yeah.
Right, so, after a while,
That's it.
after a while, we have a Buddy, this guy Buddy, he said he was a good artist. George A., we call him Buddy. He was a good artist, so he wants to go to art school. Because Big Dread, he was talking about St. Aloysius. This brethren, that's the school he used to go, St. Aloysius. It was like a Catholic school, so he said he's going to leave the singing for a while. He's going to take a break and go study his art. So he went, so myself and Pipe, Winston Matthews, we said, man, we have to continue this thing. So by this time now, you know, the Wailers, the Soulettes, we get close with Bob and Rita, and you know, so it was the Wailers, the Soulettes. So I said to myself, you know what, Wailers, Soulettes, our next group going to be called the Wailing Souls. You know what I mean? Kind of like the Wailers and the Soulettes.
Sure.
You know, because we start get tight, you know, when Bob start move everywhere he goes, we're there with him. We start singing at the kitchen all over the place now and thing. And so this guy named Lloyd the Matadors, he was just coming out, you know, a good producer, and he had some hit songs, and he sent somebody to come and get us, and we went and we did a song for him called Gold Digger. But that song, it was banned because at the time they were banning a lot of songs in Jamaica. You know, if it sounded too militant, they would ban it. And that one was kind of like a militant song. At the same time, we had Back Out With It, Your Days Are Numbered. And we tried to do it for him, and his wife said, no, they're going to ban that song also. We don't want that song. So that's when we went to Sir Cox now. Myself, and Pipe, Buddy already left the group, George A. And we found two other brethren because we kind of get, you know, by then we started rehearsing with Joe Higgs. And it was a quartet sound we kind of started building with Joe Higgs. And, you know, he taught us the harmony structure and things like that. 4 parts harmony, 3-part, 4 parts harmony. So we went and looked for 2 more guys, and we found Oswald Downer and Norman Davis and quartet, and we went to Studio One. Very first time we went, and we did the song Back Out With It, but we changed it from Back Out Wicked to Back Out With It. Your days are numbered, and Coxon accepted the song, wanted us to record the same day, and we said, no, we come back next week and record the songs. And we went back and recorded the songs. And those songs took off, you know, in the dance hall. Cause back in those times, it's not like now. The dance hall was like the place for music. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And every song used to be played in the dance hall. Every song was a dance hall song. Cause it was the sound system, as Santa was saying, that determined which song is a hit.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when people go and they hear a certain song in the dance hall, they come and talk about it.
Right.
You know, talk a lot about it. So those songs took off in the dance hall, and then eventually we started get some radio play. You know, because by then the music was kind of getting more popular in Jamaica. You know, we could start get radio play. You know, less and less American music was being played. But we were still listening to American music because Coxon, as Santa was saying, he came to America and he brought back a lot of impressions, a lot of temptations, and he would give all of us these songs, and we would listen to these songs, and sometimes we just listen to the harmony structures, you know what I mean, and learn how to sing tighter harmonies, and that helped us a lot. Even if we didn't cover the song word for word, it would help us a lot.
And I'm always amazed when I read about this or I hear you tell this story about, you know, kind of the cross pollination, the amount of musicians who work together in various groups and configurations, and how the music evolved as these musicians worked together on, you know, a variety of different songs and different sounds. I have to ask, and Ras, I want to ask you about Lee Perry, because, you know, he and his studio were so important in the development of reggae. Would you talk a little bit about Lee Perry and Black Ark Studios?
Yeah, Lee Perry, Black Ark Studio. He was a genius, you know, in his selections, because I remember, you know, a lot of the artists, them Police and Thief, were the artists that's Junior Marvin, Mervyn, and a lot of good artists got there. Bob, certain vibrations are ones myself, and the group. And what happened, he also brought out the kind of rhythms and the voices, because he wanted to really hear if anything him go so Bob, hold on there. And I'm gonna have to stop. And him say, ding! And then you start again. You understand? Because these are the ways where him come. But when him come, him really have, him make you come with a rhythm or a music where generally it's a hit music. Because personally, me have some music where, I don't know if them Virgin I remember, but they were number one for 6 months, nearly a year from Jamaica. From Jamaica, New Name Jagat.
Yeah, man.
None of Jaja Children No Cry.
None of Jaja.
Yeah, man. Zion Land, where
remember them tune there.
that was done at Federal Records. Where Light Chalmers was the producer, and I'm from him do it. Him just dig off of England, God rest him soul. But it's like, none of Jaja Children, hey, Mr. Wicked Man, how long shall you live? You know what I mean? But as I tell you, Jamaica and musicians and singers all evolve the music. Some come with ska, some come with, you have ballad singers like, you have DJ like Uri. You remember Uri?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Uri. Uri had a 5 straight number one, it's just a roll down song. You know what I mean? And wear me to the ball with who? John Holt.
Yeah.
You wear me to the
Yeah,
ball. Or
Paragons.
something like that. So
You.
it's like everyone, as me tell you, have their contribution they make in this reggae vibration.
Yeah. So the world's introduction, in many respects, to reggae comes in 1972 when Jimmy Cliff's "The Harder They Come" is released, and many people in this country and around the world are all of a sudden introduced to reggae. And I'm wondering, as the world started to come to this music, how do you guys feel? Did it change? Did your sense of the music change now that people outside of Jamaica were becoming aware of reggae music?
No, as far as I'm concerned, really, what I feel is I am really thrilled to see that people start really appreciate love. Them say appreciate. But I say appreciate love what the music and the contribution that they can at least start, really, feel the music, involve themselves in the music, all over the world, from different countries. I say we go in France, go play, and people tell me, "Oh, Ras Michael, we came from Poland, we came from this, we came from all about," just to see and hear, because the music has evolved now. In America here, there are some groups now where just love the vibes. They have a group named Revolution. You know that group? Yeah. Yes, all them youths, I know them. They used to come around and I learn.
Yeah.
So it's nothing strange.
It make you work harder,
Yes.
Because you see the recognition, and you see that the music gone international. So it make you work
Make
harder.
you made you work harder.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, and you know, this is kind of bringing us to Ziggy and your father in particular. In 1970, Jimmy Cliff released a song called Vietnam, which Bob Dylan called the best protest song he'd ever heard. And the lyrical content of reggae music started to reflect social injustice and things that the artists were seeing, not only maybe in the community in Jamaica, but around the world. And I'm wondering, you know, from your perspective now, talk a little bit about your father's recognition and willingness to talk about the injustices that he saw.
Well, I mean, it was my father and more, a lot of the musicians from, we talk about Trenchtown, and especially coming up, in those days, the Rasta movement was building. And so a lot of the musicians who didn't start out as Rasta were becoming Rasta, which was, Rasta is a strong influence on what we know today as reggae. As, you know, with Ras Michael and Wailing Souls and Bob Marley and the Wailers. The Rasta philosophy, one of independence, one of struggle, one of standing up for your rights, one of seeing yourself connected to Africa, is a big part of the messages in the music that we know today. And one of the reasons why the music has been so worldwide accepted, because now people can relate to the struggles of other people throughout the world. So, I mean, everyone was a part of that. It wasn't just my father. You know, everyone, because when I was growing up and being around bread and these men, it was like a community. It wasn't every man for themselves. It was like, when Bob was there was bread there was Burning Spear was there. You would see everyone there. There was no selfishness. It's like, this was one community, this was one struggle. Bob kind of was like out there doing his thing and, you know, got a lot of success or whatever. But I don't think he ever saw himself that way, you know. And it was always about the community, the communal struggle. And I think...
Yeah, man, you always want every man to forget his own, you know. I always want everybody to make it out there, you know. Because he figured, say, the more of us out there is the more the music gonna spread. Because that's what Bob always said, man, we have to take this music international. Because that's what he always said to me and Pipe. Say, man, we're down at Trenchtown in the kitchen in my rehearsal. I'm saying, you know what? Jamaica too small, you know, we have to take this music international. You know what I mean?
I can tell you something.
Yeah.
You see, the last message I get from Bob in Manhattan, because I had to go check for him. There were some other guys, you know, like, say them a bodyguard. And the man hotel door. So when we reach up there, I see some man spread out in a pure long trench coat and thing like, I say, Bobby in there, man shuffle. So Bobby in my voice, I say, who that? I say, Ras Michael. And the man say, hey, we don't know Ras Michael. Move on up. You know, be the eagle do bath beef. And everybody just get, oh, yes, my boss, yes, my boss, yes, my boss. I just say, what kind of people am this? You know, my spirit. And then, man, I'm at the reason. And him said to me, say, Ras Michael. And I said to him, say, Bob, me and you play in Jamaica, all about. But we never play outside Jamaica yet. And him said to him look at me and said to me, say, Ras, I can tell you something. Them have some now I want for me, you know. But me and go work together. Me and go play together, you know. You understand? So it is within him from that time. I mean, I tell the man them inside of this Grammy Museum to see the roots of the music. Because it's as him son Ziggy say. And we all know. I remember one time I crossed it to Ziggy say, sit down, so I hope road. I say, Ziggy, you know my song, you know. And him have him guitar where him just say, yes, Ras. I'm on here. Ding, da, ding, dong, ding, dong. I Ziggy that, I play it.
Yes, sir.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
Good, sir. So we not forget nothing. No, because you see my beard long and grey. Remember everything.
Wisdom.
Same way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not the answers is not right. You know, the message is to find the answers. You know, and love is the only product. You know? The only product will really bring forth a joy and a oneness. Because me hear Ziggy, me come take me in one that time there and him sing, Love is my, love is my religion. I say,
True,
yeah.
true. Yeah, man.
Yeah, son. So, without love, we are not at all. Yeah, son. So you have to just hold that and know, so the reggae music, the roots music, because you have even this man known as Leonard Howell. The music has come from a whole depth, you know. All those men were, you know, forerunners. The Honorable Marcus Garvey, you know what I mean? We can't forget. You know what I mean? All the men were Robert, you know, Hines. Because even Bedward, them they have Bedward like say, Bedward was a madman. And Bedward wasn't a madman because him speak of Africa. In Jamaica them time, the ignorance did stand predominant. You understand? And then when a man speak of going back to Africa, you know, and he's against colonialism, it create you as a direct wanted man. You understand? So, you know, Paul Bogle and William Garden. William Garden was of a different nation man. And him and Paul Bogle was hanged because they were different justice. You understand? But the thing about it, all these things come and create the messages right now. We come boil down back to message music with Bob Marley and I. The reggae vibration.
And
Yes, sir.
and how do you now carry that forward? How are you? What's the community now that you're?
Well,
speaking
I
to?
like to still have the original community.
And it's
Yes.
good we have them
Yes.
here.
I love
Yes.
the original. I'm an
Yes,
old soul.
Ziggy.
I'm an old soul, yeah.
Yeah.
Them know me from my baby.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah, man.
So it's like
baby.
my connection to this generation is very strong and very respectable. And so what I do is pay respect to that in my music. The foundation can never change or be shaken. That always have to establish, you know. And that is true. Learning everything I've learned from this generation. The spiritual side of the music, very important. And this is where it's coming from. That is what I know. That's what I try to keep in my music today and for keep in the reggae music of the next generation, in that spiritual element, you know, so.
Yeah.
This is my crew.
It's a good crew. So I want to get a couple questions from the house here. Believe me, we have to do part 2 of this. I mean, we're just sort of getting started here. But I want to get a question or two from the house, and it's a good-looking group of people, I will say. Do we have a question? Yes, sir, right there. Where in Jamaica is the music being made today?
What do you say? You're talking about live? You're talking about live? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, he wants to know when we play live in Jamaica.
Well, you can go live anywhere, but I mean, the music has changed in Jamaica. The next generation that came after even after my generation too. It's a different headspace, it's a different influence, it's a different thing. So it's different, you know, and we have to respect that generation to for their thing or whatever it is.
Yeah, everything kind of in a category now. So you have certain time when you have shows for like rock steady, certain times when it's dancehall. So it just depends on when you go. You know what I mean? And even right now, I think you have a rock steady ska thing happening sometime in November with Leroy Siblings them and Stranger Cole and them people coming up in November.
You feel like the younger generation, like every younger generation, is rebellious of, you know, what was before, kind of. And so sometimes them try for like not pay it no mind, but the foundation is so strong and the spirit in it is so strong, the message is so strong that if you try and deny it, it's to your own fall, you know. So the younger generation right now really need to pay more respect to the roots because you can't get rid of the roots. There's nothing you can, no matter how you shout and scream, it's all, this is the found, it cannot be changed. So, I mean, that's what it really is for us right now. And Santa, talk, you want to say so?
No, I think one of the main problem with Jamaica right now, and a lot of the newer artists, them don't have that hunger. Seeing, because when I started in the business, I started just like a whole heap of other musicians, even Bob Marley and the man never even nothing about riches and them thing there, you know. The man just love music and just want to spread message. Now the whole thing changed. I don't know, generations change. What really happened is that a lot of the people who come into the business today, them come into the business to make millions, which is no problem with that. But I think them last objective of positivity. You see what I'm saying? So I think that is one of the main problem because people feel like, yeah, well, you know, culture thing, whatever. Yeah, I want to sing about some girls now and some money and my big chain and my car and everything there. So no. And that is cool too. Well, Anna, that is cool too, you know. But I think that's one of the main problems. People, a lot of these guys, them lost focus. Because when I was coming up, I have a man like this to look up to. Because Ras Michael is a man where this man right beside me straightened me up because I was kind of wild. You know what I mean? And when I start function amongst a man like this, him open my eyes and wide, I say, youth, what you do? You know what I mean? So we had people to look up to. And we respect, and even to this day, I respect a man like this man because him straighten up my life. The youth, them nowadays now, I think they have lost respect for authority, for the elders and them thing there. You know what I mean? So that is one of the main things. You know, the focus of identifying with spiritual uplifting lyrics and stuff, it kind of too churchical for them. That's why even the Nyabinghi art is a problem for most people, you know. Because Nyabinghi is church. You know what I mean? And that is the same philosophy. Even Ziggy, that's why I love work with Ziggy, because Ziggy sing the kind of song that will reach me. And I feel proud for those of me I work for a man like this where we can go to a kindergarten school and the kids, people can bring them toddlers and them do have to do this to the kids when the music are play. You see what I'm saying? So this is the thing now with a lot of what going on in Jamaica. And I'm not saying everyone, you know, but a great majority of them is in it just for the money. Come and say, well, right now, you know, well, just a food more eat right now, you know. The eat a food mentality, that is the problem. You know, instead of a man just sit down and actually make a think of even 5 good songs. You know what I mean? It's like now music out of Jamaica like a conveyor belt thing. You know, mass production without no thought, without no real spiritual heading. You see what I'm saying? So that's why it's kind of hard when the brethren say, where can I go to find, you know, real reggae music culture? It's going to be a hard task. And the thing is this, there's people down there, you know. But because of the same thing we were talking about now, the whole media thing and the radio. Because I go to Jamaica like every February I try to go down there, reggae month. And I am driving around in a car and it's like about 1 million stations. And every station I turn to is pure foolishness. I mean, I wonder if it's Jamaica. No, for real. For real. And when they do play any real good music, it's late in the night when everybody gone to bed. You understand what I say? So it's real, yeah. So it's a real problem. I don't know what it is, but I think the new generation of youth them is like them have a different mentality than what we had. Because when we come to the thing, there was a hunger, the eagerness to play music and create and do positive things. You know what I mean? We don't have that anymore. You know what I mean?
And there was the love for the music, as you said before.
And just like Zig said a while ago, when there was no divisions. If you see Bob Marley, you see Burning Spear there, you see every man there the same like a thing. Everybody, there was ideas being thrown around, bounced off for each other. So that's why there was that set of people where positive energies reign. You know what I mean? Because Bob loved Burning Spear loved Bob. It was a love fest. Today the business is an ego fest. It's an ego fest going on right now. Every man want to prove themselves. And that is the problem with the music in Jamaica. That's why when you go to Jamaica, it's hard for you to find a place with some real music there because because I hear an artist say it, I don't want to call the name because I don't want to, get in trouble. But, no, it's cool, I don't. But a certain artist, I hear him say, reggae music was old time thing, Bob Marley, them thing from back in the day. So once you hear that, that's a problem. Because when I came in the business, I had the Scatterlights, Sound Dimension, Tommy Cook and the Supersonics and all these people. And when I hear those people play, I say, well, what I going to do is come, improve the thing or add my thing to it and using their thing as a template. You know what I mean? So we had people to look up to. Nowadays, these people don't want to look up to no one because, as I said before, it's just an ego fest. It's an ego fest going on right now. So I think until we clear up that, then you can go to Jamaica and you will find some real.
So the last.
Yeah, man.
Still, you still have good artists at Jamaica, man.
Yeah, last question to you. Are you hopeful about you talked about the foundation. Are you hopeful about the future?
Music, man. Yeah, man. We hear some good music, man. Still hear some good music, and it's growing. It's growing now. I think it's on a return now. We have some good chronics.
I think it's on its way back now. Too. Yeah, definitely.
It's coming up.
Yeah,
struggle. A big struggle, but it's at work.
Yeah.
Well,
everything is a circle. It goes around and come around.
Sure.
No, because of where Santa and the money come, them know the roots,
Sure.
So when them see what's going on, it really is that it means like it really touch them like what's happening, Mm-hmm. And them the music affects the society too. Yeah.
A lot of these new artists now, they start going into Europe, and they see when they go into Europe, it's the roots.
Yes, I pray
to see them.
Yes, I pray thee, because
they have to start checking to that.
Right. Remember this.
And listen, some of them don't last in 5-10 years in the business. You know what I mean? They don't last.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the music can't last unless it's good.
I want to tell them people that something. Say, listen, when your president, which is our president, came to Jamaica, where did go? As the roots, he went to a?
Tough guy.
Tough guy. He went to the museum. You understand? So him have that respect for what? For I music. And him never go there with no bodyguard, Him just carry him good guard. Cause him just got you. Him never have to carry them inside with him. Him just. So him respect the other day, I look and I see Ziggy in the where, Black House, White House. Yeah. So I haven't watched it.
Well, here's what I know. So you guys need to come back, and we need to do part 2 of this because we've just scratching the surface here. We are
So much thing to say.
Sure.
We are so appreciative that you came down to talk about the history of reggae music. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause. Brett McDonald, Santa Davis, Ras Michael, Ziggy Marley. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.